Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Pokemon pre-orders, Nintendo Karen, and we get slightly spooky with our friend Fadl Saadi discussing Luigi's Mansion. It's spooky to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, joined as always by my co-host, Mark Mitchell.
Hey, how's it going, Patrick?
I'm doing great, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Having a good night? It's checking on the weather.
Cold.
Yeah, it's a chilly evening.
But weather forecast says, spoiler alert, next week when we have this discussion, hot.
If you are tuning into a weather report, do you really need the spoiler alert? Like, that's why you're tuning in, right?
I mean, people aren't tuning in to this for a weather report.
Tuning into this.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a segment now. It's a regular. This is a regular part of the show.
That's true.
We are coming to you from the spookiest evening on the calendar, as far as I'm concerned.
As far as I'm concerned as well. October 31st.
That's right. So you are hearing this on All Hallows morning?
Sure.
Or day.
Day.
Or whenever you decide to listen.
But it's being released All Hallows Day.
Right. So you can adjust the spookiness levels on your listening device however you see fit.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a slider. You can just raise it up or down depending on your proximity to Halloween. Mark, what Nintendo games have you been playing?
You know, I'm still playing Animal Crossing New Leaf. And in some ways, I'm surprised I still am. Like, I'm checking in every day.
Really?
Yeah, because I am terrified that somebody's going to move out of my town. And I don't want that to happen.
They're your citizens, right?
Yeah, I'm the mayor.
Right, you're the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
But would you call them your citizens?
I mean, I do.
Okay. Do they like you? Are you a kind mayor?
Yeah, I am. I mean, because again, I'm terrified of any of them moving.
Mm-hmm.
So every day I have been checking in with all of them, like having conversations and stuff.
Right.
And like if they want me to go catch a carp, like I'll go catch a carp and do all that stuff. But I recently put out my first ordinance.
Oh.
Which is like a new thing in New Leaf that I didn't know about. Basically, I'm not an informed consumer. So I bought this game being like, oh, the Animal Crossing I never played just dropped to $20, so I'm going to pick it up. And I heard it was great, but I don't really know that much about it. And so now I'm learning all this stuff that it does that Wild World, which was the last one I really played, does not do. There's an island you can sail to.
Is this Tortimer Island?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a vacation destination?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
But the cool thing about it is, at least to me, is that I can gather all the fruits. I can get lychee and stuff like that, and then I can bring it back to my island or to my town, and I can plant it. That's cool.
Right.
And but anyway, so I'm terrified that the citizens are going to move out. So every day I check in on them. But the only time I've been able to check in on them recently is 11 o'clock at night when most of them have been asleep and the stores are closed and stuff like that.
So where are they then at 11 o'clock at night?
They're in their house sleeping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, not all of them.
So
but
you walk into their houses?
You can't.
Oh,
so what I'm saying is because I haven't been able to do it until later at night, I've done two things. I've made sure that I have a stock of a supply of letterhead of stationery.
Yeah.
So I can write everyone a letter every day, even if I'm not
Mark,
there to personally check in on them.
This is so cute.
And I also make sure I can attach a present to each one. And this, I have no idea if this actually works or not. I don't know if a letter is the same as visiting, but it seems to work so far. The other thing I've done is one thing you can do as the mayor, and this is all new in New Leaf, is that you can put down town ordinances.
Uh-huh.
And the one I enacted is that my town has become a night owl town, so people stay out later and the stores are opened later, which is great to fit my schedule, because this is the thing that you couldn't do in Wild World. So unless you were able to check in at certain times of the day. Ooh, actually, I should have brought mine. And as soon as I get home, I'm gonna have to boot it up because there's a special Halloween thing, and I've been collecting candy.
Oh, so you gotta
I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this game.
That brings me so much joy.
I also have downloaded but have not started Dragon Quest VII.
Oh, that's
so
exciting.
we'll probably check in on that next week.
Yeah, you'll be 1% of the way through the game because it's enormous.
Yeah. What about you?
I have been staying a lot on the same track as last week, so I've been continuing to play Paper Mario Color Splash at a truly glacial pace. I've encountered my second Koopa Kid of... are there 7 of them? There are 7 Koopa Kids, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. I was just 6, 7. How many could I name? Mark, let's name the Koopa
And Bowser
Kids.
Jr. doesn't count.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Bowser Jr. Right, he doesn't count. I don't think we need to get into what he is exactly.
I mean, we can.
Right.
But we don't have to.
But we will not. We will not. Lemmy, Larry, Wendy, Morton, Ludwig. That's 5.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say Larry? I said Iggy is another one.
Who's the big fat one in Mario Kart?
Roy.
Roy. Yeah.
Roy's my favorite,
Roy's
too.
mine, too.
He's the best. He's got the best sunglasses.
There's no dry bones in Mario Kart 8, so obviously I'm Roy.
Right. There's a dry Bowser,
Ugh.
but who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't count.
No, nice try.
So I've been playing the game very slowly. This is back to Paper Mario Color Splash. Yeah, I would say my opinions on it are totally unchanged. Still adorable. Still problems with the combat system.
Yeah.
But I mean, I as long as all I'm doing is like dipping in for 2 hours in a play session, and those play sessions are separated by like 4 or 5 days, then like it's fine.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Is if I was gonna ask if by breaking it up, if like the problems with the combat system don't bother you as much, or if they bother you more because you're like, I don't have a ton of time to play this, so like I wish I wouldn't have to do all this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's so every level feels very single serving, and so that every fight has not every fight, but all the boss fights have like a concrete solution. It feels very much like I'm going to set out to do objective X, and I do objective X, and then it's over. I have more cards to play the fan or the lemon or the fire extinguisher, but like, I used them already. I used them, and that's over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been fine, and I'll continue to report back with that with a very minimal update going forward.
Now, together,
yes,
we played a little bit of Super Mario 3D World.
Yep, and New Super Mario Brothers U. Although we just played a little bit of technically Luigi U.
Right.
But we had more fun playing. I think we had more fun. I don't want to go out.
Yeah, I agree.
Playing Super Mario 3D World, which is a super fun game. We were playing with 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
Our guest coming up, Fadl, he was playing with us, and my girlfriend Sarah. All 4 of us were playing. And that game is just chaotic fun with 4 people.
Yeah, like we didn't play multiplayer on
New Super Mario Brothers U.
The Luigi
or Luigi U.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that I actually think is more fun in multiplayer because like
which one
for 3D World or New Super like Luigi Brothers U or whatever it's called.
Let's just call them New and World.
Great.
For the purposes of this conversation.
Great.
Okay.
So New is I think more fun in multiplayer, at least to me, because the levels are linear. You're just going from left to right.
Yeah.
And so it's less chaotic. I mean, it is chaotic, but you don't have to worry about moving around in a 3D space.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get lost in
yes.
3D World when you're playing with 4 people.
Yeah, and also like part of the fun of New is that like you're all in each other's space all the time and all running into each other, and it's just funny. Where it's not quite as that chaos doesn't translate over to 3D World as much. But I like 3D World as a game.
Yeah.
Like, just the base level game, it's so much more fun to me.
Yeah. I definitely think so. And both of them reflecting against like the Switch trailer.
Yeah.
and seeing that little bit of Mario just made me realize how much I miss like a Super Mario 64 type Mario game. And it looks like there is maybe some sort of multiplayer component in this game.
Oh my god.
But I would love just a straightforward like Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario 64 type experience, and it looks like
that's what this
from
is.
the 3 seconds of footage that we've seen. That's what it looks like it is. And I'm excited for that.
So since we played a little bit of both of those games, I went back last night while watching the Cubs game, watching the Cubs win another World Series game. Was also playing new Super Mario Brothers U by myself on the gamepad while watching on TV. And I had a ton of fun playing that by myself and like collecting the big coins and like really playing the game carefully. Which is so different from the like just everybody get in here chaos of 4-player. So yeah, I'm on a little bit of like a Mario kick right now.
I feel like the new series has a bad reputation.
I think you're right.
Like a lesser reputation, and I get that. Like I agree that none of the games are as good as Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario Brothers World.
Yeah,
and the art style isn't as appealing to me.
Yeah,
and the music I don't enjoy as much.
Oh man, when the Koopas dance to the music,
yeah,
that makes me so happy.
But like all these things I'm saying like that are negatives about it, I really do enjoy them. Yeah.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, they're still Mario games.
Right, exactly. Even if they're arguably lesser Mario games,
yes,
they're still so much better than many other platformers.
I also think it helps to come at them from where we are in time now, just because like when New Super Mario Brothers U came out, it was pretty fresh on the heels of so many of these games.
That's true.
So many of the new games. You being able to come at it now, you don't feel like tapped out on that series. All right, let's move into the news.
All right, Patrick, you're going to have to explain this one to me because I'm a million years old.
Right.
But the internet has rallied behind Karen, who's the like pixie haircutted woman in the Nintendo Switch reveal video who's playing Super Mario and
whatever it is.
On Switch. And then she like looks out the window and her friends are like, hey, come over to our rooftop party. And she's like, I'll be right there. Let me just bring my Switch.
Right. So commenters on Reddit have made a joke about Karen, naming her Karen.
Okay.
First of all, Reddit,
she is unnamed in the video.
As all the human beings in that video are. And so she's been dubbed Karen, and it's always with a caption or something being like, "Oh, Karen brought her dumb Nintendo thing." Like, Karen, we're trying to have a conversation. We're trying to drink. Karen, you want us to play Mario? So like, it's funny that there's like a little bit of a negative bent to like Karen is this antisocial person who like has a crippling dependency on her new Nintendo handheld. But people are surprisingly empathetic to Karen. That they're like, no, I get Karen. Like, I understand her. I love her. Karen and we would see each other at the party and we would be friends.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit of Karen in all of us.
I think that's right. There can be a little bit of Karen just in general. If you look up Nintendo Karen,
I will never do that.
If you do,
I don't
I'm not talking to you, Mark.
I don't like memes. I don't know. I don't get memes. I'm old. I don't get it.
It's okay. I'll get them for both of us.
Okay.
There are videos showing you how to make your own Karen Miis. Like a Mii that looks like Karen.
I like that. I can appreciate that.
So you can bring her into Mario Kart. You can bring her into Smash. Which is amazing. So I'm going to give myself a Karen Mii, so I can bring her into Smash.
Well, it's just further reason why Nintendo obviously has to continue Mii's into the
Yes.
Switch generation.
Right, because if we don't have the ability to put Karen into our games,
Right in the trash.
right in the trash. There are also some pretty funny like mock-ups of Karen amiibos.
Yeah.
Where she's like holding the Switch real close up to her chest like it's a teddy bear.
If this video had been released when Nintendo was doing the like, what character do you want to see in Smash poll?
That she would have been a serious contender, I think.
Okay, so Pokemon Sun and Moon is now officially the most pre-ordered game in Nintendo's history.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, let's just like soak in that for a second. Of all, like all the big previous releases.
Yeah.
Even the big Pokemon releases. And here's the thing is that like on the DS, they bigger install base, right?
Yes.
Than the 3DS. And still,
yeah,
Pokemon Sun and Moon is the most pre-ordered Nintendo game.
Now, do you think there is an element of like who pre-orders games? Who does that?
Like,
and especially
mega fans, right?
Is it mega fans or is it like? I feel like that's a parent move, right? A parent is like, my kid wants a new Pokemon game for Christmas or whatever, and I'll pre-order it so I don't have to worry about not getting a copy.
Maybe. I mean, in my head, like parents don't have that forethought because
great point.
Or just because parents aren't like, oh, this game's gonna be super hard to get, which I don't think it will be.
Right.
So I don't know that they're like, oh, my kid really wants this, I have to pre-order. They're like, my kid really wants this. They go into a store, they're like, I want the new Pokemon game, and they're like, it doesn't come out until November, and they're like, okay, I'll come back in November.
Do you think then that maybe it's the people who were brought back to Pokemon by Pokemon Go, and then we're like, I need the new Pokemon thing. I love this, and they're like, pre-order, fine. Like, is that what's happening? What's happening?
I feel like it has to be like a confluence.
Sure.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. Of like events. Patrick and I are working out our SAT words
right.
as we on this podcast. Of events.
We'll do analogies after this.
Right. Like I don't think it can be just one like segment of the population that's pre-ordering more. I think it's probably across the board.
Mm-hmm.
There's more general excitement for the new Pokemon game, and I think we talk about Pokemon like every week, and
this is more talking about Pokemon than I've done
ever.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and so I think it's just Pokemon, thanks to Pokemon Go, I really think is just more in the cultural zeitgeist than I think anybody anticipated. And I think this is, again, like Nintendo's dream for their mobile strategy at work, where casual players who maybe played Pokemon when they were kids or have nostalgia for Pokemon, like the anime or something, when Pokemon Go hit so big, a lot of these people who hadn't played a Nintendo console in decades were like, oh, right. And then a portion of that is now excited from our Pokemon stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that, and so, we know that Nintendo is going to release Super Mario Run in December, and that has 10 million pre-orders already. Probably, that amount has grown since we last reported that.
20 million now.
20 million.
Is the last numbers I saw were 20 million.
Okay, so like 20 million pre-orders, and
or at least people signed up to be notified about it.
And so I can imagine that, even if a small portion of that, the people who buy Super Mario Run are like, oh man, I haven't played a Super Mario game since I was like 8. Even if it was on the NES. Oh, the Nintendo Switch is coming out, and like I can see how that would work. I'm less convinced on Animal Crossing and
Fire Emblem.
Animal Crossing makes more sense to me. Like Fire Emblem feels like a hard sell because the segment of the population that has nostalgia for Fire Emblem is much smaller.
Right, but I do think that Fire Emblem is just from like a gameplay standpoint more like novel and awesome. Excuse me, more novel and awesome than maybe even any of the other series we've mentioned now. That like, I think it's one of those things that if people get it in their hands, for free or cheap or whatever, and on their phones, that they'll see, like, I feel like it'll be a come to Jesus moment of like, oh man, this actually is an amazing franchise and isn't just, a set of 5 characters I don't recognize in Smash.
That's true.
And I think people know them from Smash. But if they have experience actually playing the game in some form, I could see it if the game is done well. I could really see it driving purchases there too.
It'll be interesting to see what the Fire Emblem mobile version is.
Yeah,
because so far, based purely on Super Mario Run, who knows what Animal Crossing will be, but purely on Super Mario Run, it's like a take on a Super Mario game, like the same but fit for mobile. So it'll be interesting to see, like, is it going to be like a Clash of Clans type game? Like
the
something
thing is,
like that.
it's so like well matched for mobile as it is.
Mhm.
Like the game, you could basically play it on a touch screen with no alterations.
It's like Animal Crossing that way.
Yeah, exactly.
But one thing I do wonder what will happen is if there will just be this general Nintendo Halo effect that there hasn't been, so it's like, okay, a lot of people buy into Pokemon Go and the Pokemon series. A lot of people buy into Super Mario Run. And some of the people who buy into Super Mario Run end up buying a Nintendo Switch. And then a new mobile game comes out of a series maybe they've never experienced, but they're like, oh, it's a Nintendo mobile game. I'll check this out.
Right. So
I like it. I already have a Switch.
Right.
Oh, there's a Fire Emblem game for Switch. Well, then I'll pick that. Like if it actually works, if this strategy actually works, then it could just like
right. Then people are excited about everything coming out of Nintendo.
Right.
They're excited about the new Wrecking Crew game. They're excited about the new Excite Bike. They're excited about the new Ice Climber.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be the day.
And then we finally get the F-Zero sequel that
everybody's
wanted.
Never gonna happen. Also, Mark, I feel like we just have to address it in case it comes up on the mics. There are fireworks.
Yeah,
in my
Halloween
right now.
fireworks.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, look, fireworks in LA are illegal.
Oh yes,
and
we're in a drought.
People aren't supposed to be doing. That's for the future audio archaeologists that will
right. That have discovered this. Although, didn't we decide that they give up after hearing about the weather?
Yeah, but maybe like some of them were like, oh, my grandfather talked about Nintendo.
Yeah, okay.
Well, sure. I guess it's only 2 years in the future in my scenario. Anyways, the important thing is that there are fireworks going off right now. So if that's getting picked up.
And they're very close by.
Yeah.
Like, can you see them out the window, Mark?
I can't, but that's because I'm faced that direction.
I see. Good.
So we talked about this a little bit last week in a joking way, but it's an actual news item, is that there's a new 3DS XL bundle coming out. It's like this like lime green.
It looks pretty sharp.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And it comes packed with Super Mario World, the virtual console game.
Perfect.
Great. Oh, and it's $199.99. And the more we've talked about it, and we don't have to get sidetracked by more like Switch pricing stuff.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about what you were saying, and this is just an example. It's like, oh yeah, the Nintendo 3DS right now by itself. I mean, yeah, with like the virtual console game is being sold for $200.
And it is the new version and the XL of it. So it's like the premium version of it.
Right, but we're still talking about like 6-year-old technology at this point.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the 3DS wasn't cutting edge when it was released.
Right.
Like the silicon in it. And so, but and even though I agree with you that $199 for the Switch is a fool's dream.
Yeah, that is I really like the idea of a fool's dream. That's so good.
I will say that, Nintendo, I think when the Switch comes out, we'll see a significant price drop on the Nintendo 3DS.
Yeah, sure.
And, Nintendo said that they're going to keep, that they're
going to keep supporting
They're going to keep supporting the 3DS because they have this huge install base. And why not? Again, how much support we're going to see towards it, I don't know. But, yeah. So anyways, this news item made me think, there's no way it's going to be $200.
No, it's going to be more expensive than that.
The final DLC pack for Hyrule Warriors.
There you go.
Oof. Wii U and 3DS is going to be released today.
Yeah, it was released today. So this was originally just listed as the Japanese release of the DLC, but it turns out that it was live on the Nintendo eShop today. So it's for both the Wii U and 3DS versions, and it's the Link Between Worlds pack. So it comes with 2 heroes, and that's basically it for the Wii U version, which is like the original version of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 3DS has new like adventure packs and costumes and stuff. So if you're still playing Hyrule Warriors or Hyrule Heroes, you've got more stuff.
How weird is it when you think about it that we're seeing that there are multiple Wii U to 3DS ports?
I mean, it's a little weird, but I don't think you need to. I don't think like the why question is immediately answered by install base, right?
Oh no, totally.
I mean, you can even look to like this DLC. It's the same price for the DLC for the Wii U and the 3DS, but the Wii U only gets the characters. It doesn't get the maps. Like it doesn't get the new stuff to do in the game, because like they'd have to make it twice no matter what, and like it's gonna sell more on the 3DS.
Well, I mean more. I mean, yeah, I think that's totally true. I mean more that think of how much more powerful theoretically the Wii U is.
Yeah.
And then we get these ports to the 3DS that aren't really losing very much, you know? And
yeah.
And in some cases like this, like have more.
Yeah.
And so Nintendo had to duplicate the effort essentially. Anyways, that's why the Switch makes so much sense, because they can just do it once instead of having to like be like, okay, now we're going to do basically a lot of the work we did to get it running on the Wii U.
Again,
we're going to have to do it again to get it running on the 3DS.
Yeah, and we'll have this conversation 2 more times when Yoshi's Woolly World comes out on the 3DS.
And Super Mario Maker.
Yeah, and Super Mario Maker, I think, has less content.
It's
technically.
It does, and it's
but
like
Yoshi
not online
has
and
more.
stuff. Well, Yoshi's hilarious to me because the other character's name is Poochie,
right.
And I just always associate that with the Simpsons.
With the Simpsons, yeah.
Yeah, so I just imagine Yoshi with like an outrageous dude.
Yoshi is an outrageous dude.
Let's go to new releases.
Sure. Okay. So new releases. We'll just go back and forth on these. How about that?
Okay, great.
First new release out on the 3rd, which is what? 3rd is
Thursday.
Breakout Pinball Breakout rather. On the Wii U, $7. So this is a pinball. It's a mix between Breakout, that like brick breaking game, and pinball.
Oh, that's fun.
It looks graphically, it looks like generic as all get out, and kind of boring. But I like Breakout. I like those kind of brick breaking games, and I think it might be fun to play a little bit of it and pinball at the same time. So there are like flippers,
right,
and a little thing that goes across the bottom.
Oh,
so you can like knock. Yeah, I don't know, and bricks to break.
Oh, I was thinking it would be like bricks to break, and you're just using the flippers to like break them.
It's all of these things.
Okay, so is it using like is everything on the TV or on the gamepad, or is it like the flip, like the bottom part of the machine?
Oh no, that would be cool. That would be cool. No, you can play the whole thing either on the gamepad or on the TV.
Oh, okay.
According to the trailer that I watched.
Cool.
I won't be picking this up, but it's seems like a novel way to spend $7.
Yeah. If you're looking for a way to spend $7, that's not the normal way you spend $7, but a novel way. Pick up Pinball Breakout on Thursday. Also coming to the Wii U on Thursday is Gravity Plus for $7.
Coming to the 3DS, Ice Station Z. You'll only pay $3.99 for this one.
Twisted Fusion on the Wii U, also on Thursday for $5.
Is it weird that the 3DS pricing structure is and 99 cents, and on the Wii U it's not?
Huh.
Even dollar amounts for those smaller indie games?
Who do you think sets pricing?
Not you and me.
It makes more sense to me to have it be even numbers, especially if like Nintendo's encouraging you to put like money in your wallet instead.
That's a great point, like, because you buy at dollars. You don't buy at 99 cents.
Well, you can, at least on the 3DS, you can just, if you don't have money in your wallet, you could just like charge your card for the exact amount. You don't have to put like $20 on there and then have like a cent left.
But look, most times I buy something on the Nintendo eShop, I put $50 on there, even if it's like a smaller
right.
game.
Or if you're like buying the cards from like a physical retail location,
right? Like a Target,
right,
or a Walmart.
Unless they're giving us money, I wasn't going to name them by name. I wasn't going to name by name.
They're not giving you money?
You want that into?
That'd be so crummy if I was withholding that from you.
Well, it wouldn't be for this podcast, so I'd be wondering what they were giving you money for.
I'm a greeter.
Oh, well, that's fair.
Right. And then the last new release that we have here, although I realize something's not represented here.
Oh.
But the last new release here, kind of maybe the only real new release, is Mario. Couldn't say it. Mario Party Star Rush on the 3DS. Comes out on Friday. It'll set you back full retail price for a 3DS game, $39.99. I don't know that I get a portable Mario Party game.
Yeah. Unless you had a friend group. I mean, again, it seems much more tailored, which is great, to Japan. Sure. Where, like more people have 3DSs per capita, and so it makes more sense to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to play this with friends, where in here couch co-op makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Because you and I both have 3DSs. I know of other people that have 3DSs, but I have never played with them.
Yeah.
I had to make a special point for my friend. I found out he had a 3DS, and I was like, the next time we get together, bring your 3DS so we can stream past each other.
Well, yeah, because like it's not just something that you would normally have with you, unless like you're making a point. Like I play the 3DS for the most part, unless like I'm on a trip or something in my house.
Absolutely.
But weird to do it otherwise.
Well, I mean, my commute is driving.
Yeah,
if I took the metro, then maybe I would bring it with me.
I have done that on the occasions that I do take either the train or like a bus somewhere. But again, that's something I do like once every other month.
Yeah.
And then I like live in a Nintendo fantasy for those couple hours,
right?
But yeah, that's about it.
So yeah, I mean, like, portable Mario Party doesn't necessarily make the most sense here, but if your friend group has, I think Mario Party games are fun. So if your friend group has a lot of 3DSs, then great.
We should look into see if there's multi-cart play on this. Like if one, what's it called?
Download play.
Because I could see that being a little bit of fun if we can get some people together.
Yeah, but again, I mean, like,
I know I said it. I'm like,
two.
Oh,
how like, because if you and I played, I feel like Mario Party, you need
4 people.
Kind of.
At least 3.
At least 3 so you can gang up on somebody.
That's right. What fun is Mario Party if you can't gang up on someone? Mark, here's what's not represented on our list here of new releases. Wednesday, the 2nd, the second wave of Super Mario Brothers series Amiibo comes out. I don't think I can name them all off the top of my head, but I'm going to try.
Great.
So there's a Wario, there's a Waluigi, there's a Daisy, there's a Rosalina, there's a Bowser Jr., I believe, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and King Boo. Maybe not King Boo, but he's a Boo, and he glows in the dark, Mark.
That's pretty great.
He glows in the dark.
How many of these are you buying?
I think just the Boo.
Okay.
But I may also buy the Donkey and Diddy Kong because I don't have their Smash equivalents. And I want to unlock those costumes in Super Mario Kart, and B, I like playing with the amiibo in Smash as well.
I could be tempted, like the idea of a Wario one. I love Wario.
Oh, and Waluigi too.
And like having the Wario and Waluigi pair. That'd be pretty fun.
Mark, don't say another word.
We'll check in next week.
Check in next week.
We'll check in next week.
All right, Mark. Let's move out of the news. And now we will transfer over to a regular segment of ours, 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. For the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not Nintendo related, and the music created by the emptiness of the room, that will be the song. That's the 433, as we are not playing our instruments. And again, our instruments, for the purposes of this show, is talking about Nintendo. So Mark, here is a performance of 433. Okay. Here's what I wanted to talk about.
Great.
I want to talk about Doctor Strange because it comes out on Friday.
Right.
And I think you and I should go this week. I think we should go. You want to go on Thursday?
I can maybe go on Thursday. I think I can.
Okay.
There are two things that are possibly preventing me from doing so.
Okay.
But I can for sure
Should we change to Friday?
I can for sure go on Friday.
Okay. Let's see when it's playing. Do you want to go to the ArcLight?
The Dome?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, hold on though. Actually,
if it's at the Vista, we should see it at the Vista.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like special in 3D IMAX.
That's true. Or at least 3D. So maybe we want to see it in 3D. And
so do we need to go to like Burbank for that?
Well, if we want
IMAX?
to try to do IMAX.
This is getting more complicated.
I
think 3D IMAX is a good idea.
If we're gonna go for it, let's just go for it.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Because I don't love 3D anyways, but if we're gonna see 3D, like let's see 3D.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. Okay, well,
has like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's pretty good. I mean, Marvel movies usually have an inflated Rotten Tomatoes before release, right?
No, I disagree.
Oh, okay.
I think at this point it's the embargo was dropped early enough for this that enough outlets have, because it's a certified at 90%, which means they feel like they have enough. All right, great.
All right, thank you. And that was 433. So for our next segment, we are going to be joined by our friend Fadl. Fadl is a super fun guy and is going to talk to us about Luigi's Mansion. So Fadl, well, if you can just give us like a little bit of background. When did you first play Luigi's Mansion?
Sure. So I played it when it first came out. Just a little bit of background. I was living in Dubai at the time, and I think I might have been like one of 5 human beings that had a GameCube in Dubai. PlayStation had really taken over the market there. Part of it was because you could buy fake games for the PlayStation because the CDs were large, and the GameCube had those mini discs, and so it was extremely difficult to get a fake mini disc. But I was a Nintendo loyalist, and I refused to get a PlayStation, and so I had to pick my games very, very carefully. So when Luigi's Mansion came out, I got very excited and purchased that immediately. When I looked it up, I believe that was around 2001. So it must have been around 2001 when I bought it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I had it as well, and I think got it shortly after its release, though I can't really remember.
Yeah, that's funny because I can't really remember either. It's like Luigi's Mansion just always existed as far as I remember when we got a GameCube.
Sure, there's never a world before Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, like I don't think my family got a GameCube at launch, but I think we got one within the first year.
Fadl, do you have specific memories of picking up the GameCube, like either at launch or around launch? You described yourself as a Nintendo loyalist.
Yeah. Now I'm just going into the specifics of purchasing GameCubes in Dubai.
I love it.
There wasn't a uniform pricing scheme on the GameCubes, so it was sort of the brown market that you would buy it from. So when it initially came out, it was excruciatingly expensive. I think probably around $1,000. So I had to wait a few months for it to come down in price. But once it did, I bought it probably within 4 or 5 months. I bought it when Super Smash was out. Do you know if that was a release launch?
It was release window. It wasn't ready like as the GameCube launched, but I think a couple months later, to the best of my recollection. I don't have the dates in front of me.
We're not experts.
Look, we're not experts. All we do is have experiences and love Nintendo.
Yeah.
So, for me, it was well, actually, I want to stay on this like fluctuating price thing. Was that common that like you wouldn't? Is it just because of like limited stock of these things, or like why?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Basically, what it boils down to is that there wasn't a major provider that would sell these things. It would be sort of local mom and pop stores. I mean, they were generally in malls, but in the US, you could have an announcement that it costs a certain amount of money, and you're certain that at least the big retailers, Toys R Us or Best Buy or GameStop, is selling it at roughly that cost. Over there, because there wasn't one of those, it really kind of depended on demand and supply during that week. So it was sort of like the free market gone absolutely crazy.
Sure, and I think we maybe start to see that a little bit later when people start poachers start like buying Nintendo stuff and then like selling it back to like you can't buy that new 3DS with Mario 3D World. The one that was specifically at Target, you can't buy it there anymore because they got all snatched up right away, and then people are like reselling them for more than what they're actually worth.
Well, and Fadl, like, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing I don't even know if they do now, but especially like in 2001, Nintendo probably didn't have an official presence in Dubai. Like they didn't have like a distribution system.
Yeah,
Like there
no,
was no Nintendo of America, Nintendo of Europe type situation. So these like mom and pop stores probably had to import them and then just sell them for whatever.
yeah, that's exactly it. And now we're going to real specifics, but back then you had either NTSC or PAL games, I believe, and you you could purchase it either way in Dubai because there was no official outlet, and then you just needed to keep track of the games you were purchasing, also to make sure that you weren't buying something that worked, or you had to make sure it worked with the GameCube that you had purchased.
That region locking. Yeah. Um, man, and I'm like, I don't even remember how I got mine.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it just I don't even remember when exactly we got a GameCube. Like I don't remember if it was a Christmas thing.
Yeah.
I know we didn't get it at launch, but we must have gotten it fairly early because I looked. Super Smash Brothers Melee came out in November,
Yeah.
and it was launched in September of 2001. So, but we also got it with Super Mario Sunshine, which didn't come out till September 2002. So I'm guessing I got it a year after release.
Sure. So I don't know. It's just very strange to me because I feel like I have very specific memories and like stories I could tell about getting the Nintendo 64, about getting the Wii, the Wii U, even Super Nintendo and NES. Like I remember buying all of these systems, just not the GameCube.
I mean, doesn't that just tell the GameCube story right there?
Oh, that makes sense.
I like the GameCube.
I love the GameCube. I'm just gonna stick up for it.
No, I'm not backing out the GameCube.
Yeah, Mark, leave the GameCube alone.
Look, just because it's not a cube in any way doesn't mean you have to mock it.
It had a real cool handle, okay?
Which I don't think you were supposed to pick up the GameCube with the handle. At least I was always terrified that the handle was gonna give out.
Oh, I assume the handle was for picking it up.
Yeah, I mean, there's no like crucial piece of electronics in the handle you're gonna break.
Right, but if it fell, like if you picked up the handle,
like the
it
handle
wasn't,
broke.
The GameCube wasn't light. It wasn't a light device, and so I was always terrified that if I picked it up from the handle and it fell, I ruined, the GameCube, which was $1,000 piece of instrument.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's too expensive. So to break like that, I mean, so Luigi's Mansion, this is launch software, yes?
Yeah.
Or just about.
No, it was a launch day title because there was no. It was the first Nintendo system to launch in the U.S. without a Mario title,
Which is crazy.
without
right?
like a Super Mario Brothers. Because Sunshine again wouldn't come out for another year.
Right. And the 64 launched with Mario 64, and back. Like they're all like the big Mario titles not all of them, but many of them are like launch titles.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the greatest games ever made to boot, I remember being disappointed by Luigi's Mansion.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, great. Great. Fadl, was that your experience with it as well, or?
Yeah, so I from this have gathered that I must have purchased my GameCube before September of 2002 because I bought Luigi's Mansion specifically because there was no Mario title when I was purchasing it, and I said, "Well, what else do you have?" And they said, "Well, we have Luigi," and I was like, "Yeah, let's get close enough. It's got to be a great game." And so I remember buying it, enjoying it, but finishing it rapidly and sort of feeling a little bit empty afterwards.
Yeah, well, it's not a long game. Like it can to prepare for this conversation, I watched a Let's Play, and the guy, obviously a pro, plowed through it in like 3 hours and change. So like, that's not a long game, and he wasn't speedrunning it. He was just like playing it competently. So it's not like a huge hefty experience, but it is an interesting one, right? Like I like I said, don't have like the fondest memories of it, but like I kind of want to go back and give it a try.
I feel like the best thing about Luigi's Mansion is that it's cute.
Yeah,
Right? You have like the little doctor that's like his name's like the localization of it is like very
Oh, A+, yeah. There's so there are 50 hidden boos in this game, right? That you have to find, and every single one of them has a name, and all of their names are boo puns. So like someone must have called up the treehouse and been like, "Guys, I need 50 boo puns."
And last week we were trying to do switch puns, and we ran out. Like I didn't even try.
No,
and we ran out of
I did
steam
like
out of
four.
like 4, and then we're like, we've exhausted this.
Yeah, okay, but that was 10 seconds of work. I mean, I assume they had an afternoon at least.
I know, but
They got lunch.
I'm praising their ability to come up with boo puns.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I agree with you that the greatest strength of the game is I'll go a little bit broader than it being cute, just that it constantly displays a lot of character. That Luigi's busting ghosts, presumably it makes him feel good, and all of the like boss ghosts. How many boss ghosts are there in this thing? Like 22, 23, 25, something like that?
Sure.
They all have, thank you, Mark. good support there. I feel like I'm being supported. But they all look different. They all have names. They all have like personalities, and you fight them all by like exploiting what their personality is, right? Like, before we started recording, one of you said that the game is basically point flashlights, suck up ghost, right? But like, what you really need to do is find a way to make the ghost angry or like affect it in some way, and then it becomes vulnerable to hit with flashlight, suck into vacuum cleaner. So, like having to deal with their personalities, I can't think of another game really that's like that.
Right.
It just seems unique and compelling to me.
I agree, but then also when you did disturb them, it was point flashlight, suck in ghost. And it was never really more difficult than that. That's why when we said how many bosses are there, it's like who knows, because
Right.
they weren't that much more difficult to kill or I guess suck up than they're already dead than a regular ghost would be. I do like the fact that they gave Luigi a personality that was more in depth than Mario's. I mean, Luigi is a scaredy cat this game, and
Right.
I really do appreciate that because I would be terrified as well. He is in a mansion by himself. Somebody gave him a vacuum cleaner and just asked him to go vacuuming ghosts for hours.
And he does it with a terrified grin on his face. Yeah, so Luigi's cowardice prior to this, unestablished, right?
Sure. Presumably as brave as Mario.
Right. Presumably he's doing the exact same stuff Mario's doing. Why wouldn't he be as brave? It's amazing that like that's something that's invented for this game and then has persisted to the modern era. Like if there are personality differences between Mario and Luigi, it's that one is a coward and the other just runs headlong into whatever danger he can and is happy to like run and jump and shout about it.
If Luigi had been invented after Luigi's Mansion, he should have been yellow, not green.
Oh.
A long walk for that.
It's all right. It's all right. I saw you working on it over there. I was like, yeah, let's go on this walk.
Okay, so we speaking of like Luigi's Mansion,
Which is what we are speaking of.
Nintendo's Resident Evil.
Oh, interesting.
You're like exploring. It's like the cute version of Resident Evil, right? You're the first Resident Evil. You're exploring a mansion.
Yeah. So are you? We've talked before about how Nintendo will do the shooter but fun, the racing game but fun. So is Luigi's Mansion survival horror but fun?
I mean, it like I was watching video before again, and I'm like, and we had talked about I had recently purchased or downloaded from PlayStation Plus the Resident Evil remake.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a second.
I mean, I think we could probably all agree that if Luigi's Mansion was not a full game, but was maybe some sort of side thing that you could purchase for less money, then we would have all enjoyed it. I mean, and I did enjoy it. I spent $60 and was maybe a little bit disappointed that the game ended so quickly. I actually have a question to ask you guys, which is, there's clearly some attempt in the game to get you to want to link your Game Boy to your GameCube, and this was a recurring theme. I think also one of the Sonic games I had really pushed this idea, and I had a GameCube Color, and I also had I had a Game Boy Color, and I also had the GameCube, but I never had the connector to connect it to. And I was wondering if either of you guys did or knew anyone that did and utilized that function.
So I never had the connector, but my friend Nick, who I don't know like what Nick was just like all in on the GameCube, right? He was like, GameCube, that's my jam. I'm gonna play everything on it, and I'm gonna find every way to make it play everything it can. Which meant that he did have that like hookup so that you could play. Was it like the Four Swords Adventures or something like that?
Yeah,
from
Four
the
Swords.
GBA.
Yeah.
And he had the Game Boy Player as well, which was the like thing that you slapped under the GameCube, so you could play the Game Boy Advance games. I guess all Game Boy games up on the TV. And so I know he did, but I remember making fun of him a lot for the way he played games. So I never really engaged with that. Mark, did you ever have?
No,
one?
I never. I actually had a connector.
Yeah.
Like to connect your Game Boy Advance to.
What?
No, I feel like
They're real, Fadl.
I feel like it must have come with like my copy of, because I bought Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles having no knowledge of what that game was.
Sure.
And so, because that was also designed to be played in multiplayer with everybody having a second screen experience playing with their Game Boy Advances. And so I think the version of it that I bought had like a link cable in it.
So this is very interesting, right? Because like obviously we've got the personality of Luigi that carries forward into the rest of time, but this is also sort of like Nintendo's doing a 2-screen experience, or at least suggesting it, right? Like,
right.
If there's some functionality, Fadl, do you know what the functionality was with this game specifically?
With Luigi's Mansion, no, I just remembered it watching that video walkthrough that apparently we all did watch independently. On the bottom right-hand corner, you could see the Game Boy Color, and that's
right, which they call the Game Boy Horror.
Yeah, that's a yeah, Game Boy Horror, and that's an in-game thing. But even
it displays your map.
It displays the map, yeah, and also like you get calls on it from Professor Egad. But like that it's like an in-game second screen experience.
Yeah, I know. And I believe it was the Sonic game. You could hatch at. Am I using games? Maybe.
Are you thinking of on the Dreamcast Sonic Adventure where you could hatch the little like chaos egg thing?
I no, I'm definitely remembering. I definitely remember it was not a Dreamcast. It was on the GameCube. And no, I never had a Dreamcast. I don't need you to pull that out. Um, but I distinctly just remember the Game Boy, like the Game Boy connector, allowing you to do more things than just your GameCube. And I remember being insanely jealous of anyone that had that ability. And I do think, as Patrick said, it's really interesting that Nintendo has been toying with this idea of dual screens for a while, and trying to figure out what to do with them. I think it makes perfect sense. It might have been that it was just a little bit before its time to connect a Game Boy to a GameCube, especially when neither device was, if we're being honest, all that powerful.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if the game really requires like too much power. Like, there's the ghosts are cool looking, right?
Mhm.
They look like Casper, and then the game looks great, but I think that's mostly for like design reasons, right? Like,
Can I say one thing, like graphic thing that I did really appreciate? Because even modern games very rarely do this.
Yeah.
Is there are times when there are mirrors in the rooms
Mhm.
and there's actual reflection of Luigi. So many games just like cheat it,
Yeah.
and like the mirror doesn't reflect any, like it doesn't show anything.
Well, there are a lot of times in this game where the reflections in the mirror are like you need to be able to see them for gameplay reasons,
Right.
because it's showing you something on like the back wall that you need to interact with. Um, I find the way this game is presented as like the sort of like diorama of a house. I find it so charming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I can't think of another game that presents itself like that, and like that makes it very different from a Resident Evil, which is like showing you these dynamic camera angles to like try and be dramatic or whatever. And then Luigi's Mansion is like, no, we're having fun exploring the mansion. It's cute.
It is cute.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I remember enjoying this game. I think I was just a little bit disappointed that it wasn't this sort of sprawling universe that I was imagining, because I was imagining a Mario game.
Totally.
And it wasn't, I got that with Super Mario Sunshine, which I thought was a delight, but we're not going to go there today. And so Luigi's Mansion is most certainly not a Super Mario game, and you don't have that sort of like huge world experience. It's definitely a localized game where you're in this mansion and you're not seeing new worlds. The mansion doesn't really change in in sort of like its look and its feel, right? You don't go in and you're like, "Oh, this must be the desert room."
Yeah, but I mean, specific. I was just gonna bring up like the idea of like there's usually a desert world and a forest and whatever. It's kind of cool to see a Mario game not go through those. I'm calling it a Mario game. There's Mario's barely in it.
Mario Universe.
That's right. That doesn't go through. Like it's neat to see it so isolated like that. But I can see where as a kid you have expectations and you're like, I want to see Mario, and then you don't get Mario. That can be frustrating. Fadl, were you like an evangelist for this game? Did you champion it to your friends, or were you like, this is stupid, but I'm playing it anyway?
I mean, again, I was the only human being I knew with a GameCube. Um, this was a decision that was extremely controversial in my family. I have a twin sister, and she was pushing for the PlayStation. And her argument was that everyone else had a PlayStation. It would make sense to purchase a PlayStation. And I put my foot down. I told her the controller for the GameCube was superior, something that I still believe, and that I really appreciated Nintendo's games, which I do. But long run, was the GameCube the best decision for me in Dubai at that time? Probably not, but it did give me a unique experience, and I appreciated that. Also, I had Super Smash Brothers Melee, and no one else did.
Yeah, so there you go.
Winning right there.
Luigi's Mansion kind of reminds me of, because I think you're right, Fadl, that Luigi's Mansion suffered from the expectation of being like the Mario Universe launch title, and having it be so different from a regular Super Mario Brothers game, I think that's why all of us kind of have not negative associate. Obviously, for Luigi's Mansion, but we're not like, yeah, Luigi's Mansion. It reminds me kind of Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, where it's just this like
I was going to bring
side
that up too. Yeah.
game that if Luigi's Mansion had come out later at like a lower price, just being like, oh, here's like a fun thing that we did instead of being the launch Mario Universe title, I think it would have a. Because I mean, I think it's generally well regarded.
I think it is now. Yeah.
But it felt disappointing at the time to boot it up and be like, what is this?
See, I think that's weirdly the legacy of most GameCube games. Like, there were negative reactions to Wind Waker when it came out, to Double Dash, and maybe Double Dash hasn't aged as well as like these other games. But I think both Luigi's Mansion and Wind Waker are now regarded as like really awesome, innovative, cool versions of those games. And we will have an in-depth conversation on Treasure Tracker at some point, because I love that game.
It's so cute.
It's so. I mean, it's the same in a lot of ways to Luigi's Mansion, that it's these like isolated experiences, and the main character is like scared and like reluctant to be the hero.
Just pivoting a little bit, I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts on about the motions of Luigi. I remember as a kid being upset that Luigi could not jump and that he was just shuffling back and forth. In hindsight, I think that's again mostly because I wanted a Super Mario game, and a Luigi game in which Luigi refuses to even jump an inch off the air was disappointing. But he did have limited controls. He could go left, he could look left, he could look right. And I think up, down, maybe.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like three-dimensional control there. But yeah, he can't do much. But yeah, like the way he's animated is so. We're just gonna keep saying cute, I guess.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
Like the way he runs, kind of like leaning back, like he's almost afraid of going where he's going. I love that. I love the way he opens doors, where like his hand kind of shakes as he's turning the knob. I love the way he sings to himself, or whistles, depending on how comfortable he is.
Mhm.
Like if he's walking through a room he's been through a bunch of times, he'll whistle. If it's somewhere new, he'll like hum the music to himself. Yeah, I love that. The limited control is maybe a little bit different. I remember really struggling with the 2-stick control, where the 1-stick controls the vacuum.
Yeah.
And really, anytime it was like, okay, grab a ball with your vacuum and then like point it at the bad guy and let go, I had such a hard time doing that.
Do you think that's because, well, did you have dual analog controllers before, like a system with the dual analog control before you owned a GameCube?
That's a great question. Obviously, I had the. No, wait a minute. What year did PlayStation 2 come out?
I'm
look it sorry.
up. We're not This is not a PlayStation podcast.
No, yeah, we don't have to know that.
But I did not. And so the like dual analog controls were new to me.
Yeah, they were making them up on the fly.
So anything that required me to like use 2 analog sticks, I was not prepared for.
Fadl, what do you make of controlling Luigi and not being able to make him jump or even really run?
2000 PlayStation 2.
Yeah. So, I mean, not being able to run, or no, you could run, but you couldn't jump, and that was a little bit disappointing. It does sound like I'm being very critical of Luigi's Mansion. I want to make it clear that I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did think Luigi was super cute, and I love the fact that he had a personality in a way that I don't think you saw with Mario for a while. I mean, it took a while, it took a while for Nintendo to really get a personality for Mario.
Yeah, I would
coming
say
out.
like Sunshine, he doesn't really have as much personality as
Right.
Luigi does in Luigi's Mansion.
Right, yeah.
I'm not sure if Mario ever gets as much personality as
Mickey Mouse syndrome.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, like, if there's one thing that I think I can ascribe to Mario, like personality-wise, is just like joy. Like he loves running, he loves jumping. so like let him run and jump.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that two of the characters that are easiest to describe in personality are sort of Mario's counterparts, who have Luigi and Wario, and I think for both of them, is it Wario or Wario?
I say Wario.
I'm gonna go with Wario then. But with both Luigi and Wario, you get a kind of personality that's pretty distinct and seem to be in different ways the opposite of Mario. But then with Mario himself, you're left with just sort of like the protagonist. Um, but just to go back really quickly, into the controls of the game, I I liked it. I don't. Now we're talking about the hardware. I don't love the C-pad
Mm-hmm.
on the GameCube controller. I think that could have been done a little bit better. So any game that required me to use the C-pad extensively, I thought was a little bit more difficult than it needed to be.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's got like a weird shape to it. Like it's kind of Nintendo splitting the difference between like a stick and like a different kind
Yeah,
of
because
solution.
it's not like
right?
a true analog stick. It's
Yeah, and it's also not like the solution they eventually land on with the 3DS with that like what do you even call that thing? The little like coin slider
the
thing.
circle pad.
Circle pad, yes. Yeah, so I mean maybe Nintendo's still kind of working on a solution to this.
That's how I was gonna ask how Dark Moon plays, Patrick.
Dark Moon plays because it doesn't actually have the I
Yeah, so there
Jeez.
was no like Luigi's Mansion disappeared from the face of the earth until the 3DS when they made
Well-
Luigi's Mansion sequel Dark Mansion.
yeah,
Dark Moon.
Dark Moon. The 3DS is just sort of home to the sequels that came like a decade plus too late
Mm-hmm.
because Kid Icarus Uprising is on there as well. But yeah, so the game controlled. Geez, I don't even know if I remember now. There's some motion control elements to it. Like you could control the up and down. That was all with motion control. Just where you're pointing the system. Which didn't work great with the 3D because you had to be in fixed space. But I played the game on the new 3DS, so that actually corrects for it. But that game is also quite a bit longer, and maybe not as like tight and charming as the original. But I think the controls are cleaner and it looks very pretty.
Patrick, did they try to make the game scarier? I'm really just curious because the Luigi's Mansion was super fun. I at no point in the game was ever afraid.
Right.
Which I didn't mind as a kid, but I can see today's video game world demanding that it be a little bit grittier.
Right.
I mean, no. To answer your question, no.
Luigi's out to bust child
that's
molesting
right.
ghosts.
Those are the worst kind of ghosts. I mean, it's on a portable, and I think it's hard to make a portable experience scary, right? Like you're on the bus,
Right.
you're being confronted by the real world. What could possibly be scarier than confronting the people on the bus, your fellow passengers? That's scary. That's scary, Fadl. Well, okay. I think we should maybe talk a little bit just about Luigi's Mansion's like legacy. We've done a little bit already,
Mm-hmm.
but just where Luigi's Mansion's stuff pops up in the future. In the future, it's the past now, but the future from the perspective of the game. Am I making sense? Does this make sense?
After the game came out.
There we go.
Yeah.
So we said Dark Moon, but that's the only like direct sequel to the game. Mark, you mentioned earlier the Nintendo Land game.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
Nintendo Land mini game that me and my friends just always called Roast That Ghost because
Roast
that ghost. Because what you're doing is, and it actually makes really good use of the Wii U gamepad
Mhm.
because one person is a ghost and you're going around like this like maze type thing.
Is it
and
a
you're-
bunch of Luigis?
It might be a bunch of
Me's? They're probably Me's.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's Mii's. I think it's a bunch of Mii's.
But in fact, it is definitely a bunch of.
Okay.
But so you play as like a boo, like a ghost, and your job is to go around and try to like grab these Miis, and when you do, it like makes them faint, right? And so you're trying to like pick off the Miis like one by one, and then they all have flashlights, and if they shine their light on you, then your health bar goes down.
Oh.
But but your health doesn't just like go down. It's like you make this like sizzling sound and like smoke comes off you. So that's why we call it roast that ghost.
So is this game scary?
It's scary in the fact it's not really scary, but it's like fun because you're like walking around trying to tell where this ghost is, and you can tell that the ghost is coming closer to you because like your Wiimote begins to vibrate.
Oh.
And so when you it's like, oh, I know he's here, but I can't like see him. And then when you get grabbed, everybody goes, ah! It's great. It's so much fun. That's the best part of Nintendo Land, hands down.
Out of curiosity, do you know what percentage of the time the ghost ended up winning?
A surprising amount, or they're at least able to get. Usually, they're at least able to get a few, like grab a few people. But once like somebody faints, you can shine your flashlight on them, and you can like resurrect them. But also you run out of batteries, so you have to. So like if people are out of battery, you have to go collect battery. But the ghost could be right there, and you don't have any recourse because you're out of battery. It's great. It's the only reason to buy Nintendo Land.
Do I need to buy Nintendo Land?
It's pretty fun. I actually wish on the Wii U store you could just buy those individual like
Oh, that would be perfect.
eShop like on the individual mini games because that one is so much fun.
Isn't there a Metroid one that's supposed to be fun too?
There is a Metroid one. I don't think it's that fun, but
we'll talk
there's a
about
Metroid
Nintendo
one.
Land at some point. And then I think really the only other place that we end up seeing Luigi's Mansion style content Luigi's Mansion content is in Smash, right? Or Kart, I guess. Luigi's Mansion has been a track in Mario Kart games as well. But like modern Luigi in Smash Brothers has like ghost-based special moves and like final smashes and stuff like that. He's still a weirdo,
right?
Like a weird, cowardly weirdo. But yeah, do we have any hopes for actually the future of Luigi and Luigi's Mansion?
So I wouldn't be horrified if there were no more Luigi Mansion games. To be honest, I do appreciate, and we've touched on this. I was actually going to ask you two about this. I never played Mario's Missing. I don't know like whether or not Luigi had a character when that game was going on. But I think Luigi's Mansion is probably where Luigi got his personality, and so I think that's what Luigi's Mansion is going to be remembered for. It's going to be remembered for the fact that we now know the character of Luigi. We can sort of put him anywhere and ask ourselves, what would Luigi do? And I really do appreciate that.
Oh, we need to get some bracelets that say
WWY.
Yeah,
WWLD.
That seems like what would Larry David.
Run. The answer is run always.
Yeah.
Run and scream and then sing along to the music.
Well, I think what happened with Luigi's Mansion is because it sold well because it was a launch title game. Like I think it sold over 2 million copies, which has to make it one of the better selling GameCube games.
Sure.
But I think what happened was our generation who remembers playing it when we were really young, and even if we didn't love it at the time, we have nostalgia for it because our generation is the nostalgia generation.
That's right.
And so
thank you for listening, by the way, to Nintendo Cartridge
yeah,
Society.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not impugning us in any way.
No.
But yeah, so I think like that's why now, like, because 10 years later, 15 years later, when we were all adults, is when a Luigi's Mansion sequel came out. When Luigi's Mansion started being included in Smash Brothers and in Mario Kart was, and then you didn't really hear about it before that. Basically, like the entire like Wii generation, you didn't.
Yeah.
Although maybe it was
It's in Kart on the DS for sure.
But yeah, so I just feel like now that we're older, and even if we didn't love it when it came out, we have nostalgia for it because it came out when we were kids. And so that's why we're seeing it incorporated more.
Big problem, I think. There's no way to play this game right now unless you have the disc.
Yeah.
Unless you have the disc and then still have either your GameCube or your Wii, because you can't play it on the Wii U.
And I don't imagine, with how slow Nintendo, like, it's just not a priority for them to put these older titles onto Virtual Console.
Insane.
I don't know that in the foreseeable future there will be a way to play this game.
Well, that's a bummer. I'd like to be able to play this game. Mark.
You have a Wii, don't you?
No, I gave it to my my niece and nephew.
Oh. Well, yep, you're out of
luck. I'm out of luck. Well, so Fadl, you say you don't ever want to see. These are your words. You don't ever want to see.
You are adamantly against a new Luigi's
no
Mansion
more
game.
Luigi's Mansion games.
I don't think I said that. But okay, no way to know. But no, I maintain that it was a fun game. I enjoyed it, but on my list of things I want Nintendo to do in the future, making another Luigi's Mansion game is pretty low on my list. I'm just gonna be brutally honest. You know, I'm pining for a new Metroid game well before I'm pining for a new Luigi's Mansion game. Yup. Yeah.
All right. Well, so forget Luigi's Mansion, I guess, is what we're saying.
No. we're saying what we've said from the beginning. That Luigi's Mansion is a very cute game, and it gave us a lot of fun things, but it's not like an amazing game.
Sure, it's one of those like it's got the fundamental like building blocks of Nintendo to it, but is maybe not something we're really going to actively revisit.
Yeah.
Fadl, thanks for coming on and talking about Luigi's Mansion with us. Do you have anything you want to plug, or where can people find you? People want to find you.
Yeah,
Fadl.
if you want to be found.
You can follow me on Twitter. I'm only saying this right now because it's at Fadl Saadi, at FADLSAADI. If you have any Nintendo Switch rumors that these two guys don't want to know about, feel free to DM me. I would love it if somebody could just give me some more Nintendo Switch rumors.
And while you're at it, feel free to DM Fadl spoilers for the upcoming M. Night Shyamalan movie Split, and then he'll convey those to me because I still want to know.
The Nintendo Split? What are we?
No,
these names are all too similar. Well, Fadl, thank you for talking to us. That was super fun. And though it was fun, I think we did start to go down an avenue of inaccuracy. There was no Game Boy Advance functionality for the for Luigi's Mansion.
I mean, that makes sense because it's a launch title.
The Game Boy Advance design. I was reading about it. Well, I have been reading about it. And the Game Boy Advance design was still in flux at the time that they were developing the game, so they couldn't have put it into that's why it's a Game Boy Horror.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, instead of a GBA.
Mm-hmm.
But Fadl was right about Sonic Adventure having
like the egg hatching thing.
Yeah, it was the egg hatching. And it even in the article I read, it said that it is much like the VMU on the Dreamcast. So when I was digging out a Dreamcast controller, for seemingly no reason, there was at least half of a reason behind it. I maintain. But so Mark, this is the point in the show where we usually take some reader questions, listener reader questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I put out some feelers to see if anyone had any questions or comments about Luigi's Mansion.
Oh, great.
And I got a string of short questions from my friend and co-host on the My Name is Weezer podcast, Jen Kleinrock. And they're all dumb questions about Luigi's Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fire them off to you, and I'd like to hear your answers to all these dumb
Great.
questions.
Rapid fire
Okay.
from the gut.
Rapid fire, just immediately what you feel. Does Mario have his own room there?
No.
Okay. Is the plumbing super high tech?
No.
Does Waluigi have a mansion that looks the same but purple?
I would actually really like that.
I mean, Waluigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
I would play that.
I would play that faster than I'd play another Luigi's Mansion game.
Does Luigi have a summer home too?
We're getting into headcanon at
Yeah,
this point.
yeah.
And so the answer.
Oh, at this point, this is where we're getting in headcanon.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't have a summer home. How can a plumber afford a mansion?
Well, he won it in a contest.
Jen obviously has not been following along with this conversation. Do you think Luigi is stealing money from his brother?
No.
I
I think the best of Luigi.
I also think the best of Luigi. Also, I think he would be too scared to steal from his own family.
Absolutely.
He would be afraid of being found out.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the quick rapid fire questions that we got from Jen regarding Luigi's Mansion. If you have any questions that you would like to pose to us, they don't have to be about the game that we're going to talk about that episode. How would you even know what that is? You can always send them into Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. So yeah, do that and we'll talk about it and chat and it'll be a great time. Mark, you have anything else to add about Luigi's Mansion?
No,
All right.
I don't think so.
Well, then let's wrap it up.
Great.
Okay, so that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter. We're at NinCart Society. Check out the Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you can take a second to rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes, that's great. While you're there, why not check out some of the other podcasts on the What's a Creative Podcast Network? We're part of that network, and if you like what we do, there's a good chance that you'll find something else there that you like. Again, I was a guest on the Lizard People podcast last week. You should check that out because I just do this on that. And it's a funny episode. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, you can always check out our opinions about comic books on retconpunch.com. We have in-depth conversations there. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music was provided by 8-Bit Betty. And you can check out 8-Bit Betty's music on 8-Bit Betty's website or Bandcamp or whatever. Buy his music on iTunes. Or you can listen up right now. This is Patrick Ellers, and for me and my co-host Mark Mitchell, saying Mario! Thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?